Okay, so let's dive into the A7R6 menus. They're pretty thick. There's a lot of them, a lot to get through, but I'm just going to focus this video on still photography, not on video, so I'm going to skip over any of the video settings you might see come up. So let's just start right up in the main one, which is My Menu. This is where you can set up a menu of just your favorite menu items, the ones you want to go in and change on a regular basis so you're not scrolling through. You can see that I have APS shooting. I can toggle on and off, format, ISO, things of that sort, things that are important to me, but you're going to have to make your own decision on what's important to you. The way you set them up, if you've never done this before, you come down to My Menu setting, you come over to add an item, and then you scroll through and find whatever item you want to add, and you punch in and it's added to your list. Okay, so let me get back over into here. Come back over to My Menu. And we're going to drop down to this page, which I'm going to skip over. This is just the tile format on the back of your camera. You can just punch in to add or change any of these. I tend to leave this stuff alone. I really never on any of my Sony cameras have messed with this. So let's get now into kind of the meat and potatoes of all of this. I'm going to start over with the red camera icon, image quality, and I'm going to switch JPEG and HEIF to just JPEG. Now, I don't shoot in JPEG, but if I won't say I never do, never with my landscapes. It's always in RAW. If I'm doing something maybe of my grandkids, something like that I just want a quick JPEG coming out of the camera, I would switch over to JPEG. Image quality settings, I'm going to set my file type for RAW. And you have these choices. You have JPEG, RAW, plus JPEG and RAW. I tell some of my clients, if you're new to RAW and it freaks you out that you've never processed a RAW photo before, then you might want to go down here and set RAW and JPEG. But I just leave mine to RAW. And this is going to be in this camera, they give us three choices: lossless, compressed HQ, and compressed. I just did lossless. I want everything in that file captured, and it's going to be a big file, but I want every tone and color available in that file. Let's drop down into here. And what I'm going to do is set mine. You have two cards in your camera, and I know a lot of people like setting up slot 1 to record stills and slot 2 to record video. I do simultaneous recording. Hey, when it comes to cards, pay for the best. I use Sony cards, and they're not cheap, but you don't want your cards crashing. I have lost a card one time on a landscape shoot where I had some really amazing light, and I fortunately overnight used a recovery software and it got them back. But the way around this is I just set up both for simultaneous recording, so I have a backup on a backup card. If card 1 goes down, I know I could go right into card 2. But this is, again, personal choice, so you go with what you think's important. Aspect ratio, I leave mine to 3.2. I'd never change off of that, but you can if you want. I just do the cropping outside in Lightroom. I can crop, or in Photoshop. This is, I said I wasn't going to get into any of the movie settings, but these two are on your still menus. So you can see I just leave mine to 4K. That's the file format, and I'm not going to be able to show you that one because I'm in still settings. So let's just blow past these. APS-C shooting, I'm leaving this off. I can control this through my personal menu that I showed you that I set up. Long exposure noise reduction, off. I don't want the camera doing the noise reduction, because let's say I did a 20-minute astro shot. It's going to run a frame for 20 minutes to try to draw the noise out of there. I get better off using Lightroom's denoise command, or Topaz, they put out terrific software for getting noise out. I do it in post. Same thing with high ISO noise reduction. I don't want the camera doing any of the noise reduction. And then color space, I just leave it to Adobe RGB. I don't believe this does anything to the RAW file, but if you are shooting JPEG, you're going to want to do that. The only time you would go into sRGB if you were shooting specific for the web, but you could do the conversion in post. Okay, let's come down to media. That's where you're going to find your format. Once again, I added this to my my favorites menu. File, let me see. I do set this up. I put my copyright in, so I turn that on. I set photographer, and you can see that I have that there. And then on the copyright, you see I just have some name. So that's already embedded in the file when it comes into post-production. I don't write serial number, even though I have that on. I guess you could leave it on. I never really even think about that. Bulb timer, this is another one of those personal things. I have it on. I set it for 60, but you can come in here. You can change it to 999 seconds. You're gonna determine that when you're out in the field shooting. So you just don't want to cut yourself short in there where it's going to limit you. ISO range limit. Let me come down here. I do set this. I want to come up here and set this to the highest I can get it, which is 12,000. Let's see, that's 16. Get to 12,800, which is right there. It is a pretty noisy file, but once again, Topaz is so incredible at getting noise out. I just sometimes, if that's what it takes to make the picture, I do it. Okay, exposure comp, nothing in there. Metering mode, this is another personal one. I tend to go multi, playing around with highlight because, especially in my landscapes, but most of the time I'm at multi, but test out your own tests. Let me get back to where I'm, there it is, and I'm going to punch in. Spot metering point, I just leave centered, and auto exposure with shutter. I'm going to turn my shutter off, so that's not really going to matter. Flash, we're not going to go into that now. White balance, I'm always on white, so that's about all I'm doing. And I'm setting my white balance in post. And a lot of times it's not a specific, it may be in between where I want to set it. Color and tone, this is only going to affect JPEGs. I would leave that D-range optimizer off. It could confuse you. Zebra, I'm a zebra guy, so I turn mine on and I set my level at 100 plus, and that's going to show you where you're starting to clip. And I know at 100 plus, I still have room. If I see it clipping a little, I still have a good stop of underexposure where I'm going to be okay. It's a personal thing. Let's jump into the pink camera monitor now. The focus, let me go back. Sorry about that. Let me come on over to focus mode. And I'm going to come down to this one, priority set, autofocus single and autofocus continuous. And this I set to responsive autofocus level. That's if somebody crosses in front of you. Let's say you're shooting somebody in the background in a car, or a person crosses in front of you. It's not going to jump of them. AF speed for tracking, I go to responsive on that one. AF illuminator off, aperture drive and autofocus standard. And let's come down to focus area. Right now I'm in spot on this one, and again, that's one of these ones you're going to want to test out. The focus area color, I just like red. You only have two choices in the focus area color. That's red or white. I choose red. Autofocus registration, I leave mine on. Autofocus clear, no, we're not going to do any of that. Let me come back down to here. This circulate one, this is just if you're moving the spot, autofocus spot around. As you get to the edge of, let's say you're moving it left to right, and you get over to the right side of the frame, you're going to see it reappear over on the left side of your frame. If that bothers you, just turn it to do not circulate. To me, it doesn't matter one way or the other. Okay, let's come back to subject recognition. This is a big thing. I leave mine on, and right now I'm in auto, but you can see you can set it for all of these different ones. I was shooting macro the other day, and there was some bees flying around the flower. So there it is. I came down and I set it to insect. But pretty much with landscape, and that's what I'm teaching you here, I just leave it to auto. But if you are shooting, you want to start taking over, and let's say you want to start shooting some birds, it is more responsive if you go right to the subject you're shooting, but you can see there's nothing that says landscape. Okay, so I think most of us, we would just leave that in auto. Let me see if there's anything else in here. Face memory, stuff like that, I never really mess around with. Oopsie. Okay, so let's come down to focus assist. Oh gosh, this one's a big one for me. I turn this silly thing off. This is if you're looking through your viewfinder and you're taking over and trying to manually focus. It enlarges your frame by, you can see the initial down here is one, you can go up to times 4.9, and it jumps. But sometimes I may be focusing on something that isn't dead in the center. I may be over bottom left, bottom right, top right, whatever, and it jumps. And that just really bugs me. So personally, I turn that off, and I just don't use it. Peaking display, I turn mine on. I turn my level up to high, and that's helping with the focus and the peaking color. Whoops, let me back. I'm sorry. I jumped out of this whole menu on you guys. So let's come back down to peaking display. Oops, I want to turn it off. I want to leave it on. And let's come down to peaking color. You have 4 choices on the peaking color, and I just like leaving mine to red. It's just what I've been doing for years with Sony cameras. So it works for me. Okay, we're going to skip over all of these, and we're going to skip over everything in here, and we're coming down to the last one now. The area and date, you pretty much set that up when you got the camera, but if you need to go back and change something, that's where you would go back in and make those. You could actually save your settings out. I never really do that. You could write them off to a card or a hard drive, and then when you get a new camera, you could reload them, but I just don't do it. This is an important one, number 3. This is where I can go in and I can customize different buttons on the back. And there's 2 that I like to customize, and that's this number 2. That's going to become my autofocus, and I turn my shutter off, and I must have skipped over that menu, and I apologize, but you'll find it in one of the 2 camera menus. And you just go in. If you want to back button focus, then you can disable the front focus button on your camera, the actual shutter button. I've learned this as being a sports photographer for years, and I'm just used to doing it. I see other photographers who have recorded similar videos to this, and they go, oh, you're crazy, just do it through the shutter. I just never have liked that. So I put the autofocus to the back, and when I press my shutter, it leaves the autofocus alone. The other one I change is right here on my trash can. I engage it to bright monitoring, and that's great for night photography work. Last month, Gary Hart and I were over in New Zealand. We had our group out doing a Milky Way shoot, and it was a very, very dark location. And I activated bright monitoring by pushing my trash can button, and it gains the sensor, and it just makes focusing so easy. And then it just take over manually focusing, basically, till I got as many of the stars lit red as I could. So that is that. Let me see if there's anything else on there. No, so I'm going to come down to 4. You can really customize these. Again, I try to keep everything very simple. Touch operation for the back of the touch of the screen. Let's go down to Finder Monitor. That's where monitor brightness is located, but we've already set it up. Display option, there's nothing in there I want to show you. Power settings, no. Sound options, no. USB, nothing in there I'm doing. External output, I went in there, I've had some trouble with this, but this is where I went in to actually record this video. I had to make a few changes. And setup, this is a great one down here. Anti-dusk sensor cleaning, and you could actually go into a mode now where it will vibrate your sensor. And then this one, always leave on, you guys. Shutter when you power off. So as you turn off the camera, it's going to do another shake of the sensor. So literally after every time you're done shooting, it's going to try to clean that sensor for you, unless it's something baked right onto your sensor itself. Then you may need to get in and do something a little more aggressive like wet clean. This is where your version is. You can go in and test your camera. I don't have a lens on this camera, so I'm at version 1.01, and then you can periodically go back to Sony's page and see if there is an update on all of this for the camera. And if I had a lens on there, I can download the firmware if there's a firmware update on the lens also. So I think that's pretty much it. The only thing I apologize for is I actually skipped over the shutter setting. I'm going to put it in the notes down below where that was located, so just check it out there. But that's how simple I try to keep this camera, and you can either follow this or modify off of this. I hope this has helped you. Try these basic settings, get out and just enjoy the camera. Don't get so hung up on all of the different ways you can configure this camera. It is very, very menu rich, which I give Sony credit, but on the other hand, it can get awful confusing also. So, hey, till next time, stay out, stay creative. It's great for the soul. We'll talk to you soon.